Hello to everyone viewing this channel. You are on the People's Program, and S.I.V Technologies is a sole proprietor under the principle of logistics code, where we do a lot of inventions in this category with technology and so much the more. My name is Deshauna E. Morgan. I am a certified medical research analyst and a medical student in the works of becoming an obstetrician gynecologist. While I've had so much fun yesterday on social media, it is a time to play and a time to be serious. And while I seriously have fun, that doesn't mean that you don't have to know certain things about your body and how those emotions come into play. I had a refresher this morning just listening to one of the medical doctors in my life as being a support system. Not that I get information from them to diagnose myself or any other people, but sometimes you need like-minded friends or like-minded support systems. So the discussion was about the polaria and the bronchialis of the lungs and so much the more, and how we have 2 lobes in our right lung and 3 lobes in our left lung. And while a lot of people are still smoking out there, the government shutdown is something where you have to realize that it's not just one person making all the rules. Even though this person can exercise laws judicially, this doesn't mean that Trump is going into some sort of period of shutting down the world. See, that's why you have to have a mindset to know that it's not just about what one person says over your life, if it ain't Jesus. So, with that being said, we're going to talk about 3 different things: government shutdown, and some of the beneficiaries of the government shutdown, what people have in mind about the government shutdown. Number 2 will be some of the scientific studies that I have done even before becoming a medical student, and a small testimony of how I knew that God ordained me or called me into the medical field. And number 3 is about autism and the blood flow within the heart. So number 1, government shutdown. Let's realize that government shutdowns happen either every 4 years or 8 years within the United States of America. This is only because the new president that goes into that place or position sees things that he or she in the future, because we would like to see a woman president, we just want to see the right one, that he or she doesn't or does like. And now, because whichever party they're on, there has to be a collaborative decision on moving forward for some of these things. Because these Republicans or Democrats can still vote against or appeal anything that has already been set in stone or something that is to be set in stone. And I like how we as America have come into this propaganda of understanding what set in stone means. Set in stone comes from the time when Moses went up to the mountain of Sinai to write the 10 commandments. It was set in stone. These are the commandments that we are to abide by. It's set in stone. It's permanent. We shall follow. And with also government shutdowns, you have to realize that the only thing that I really see are the 2 big problems that people are really coinciding about is Obamacare and SNAP, well, welfare, food stamps, whatever you want to call it for yourself. But with Obamacare, it's not like it's the only affordable health care plan in the world. It's just because Obamacare was set up by a president to where it's very accessible and it doesn't take too much information to research in. You can sign up at your local clinic. But there are a lot of other affordable healthcare plans when you get a job. And sadly, it does seem like there are certain top tier places in this world, like the airport, where people don't desire to work. And I saw a video of the TSA having a concert in the airport, but then there were probably 2 to 3 of them working behind, the counter and getting those luggage bags through the scanners. And it's sad. It's either you have to make the job or be in the job. And there are a lot of people since the pandemic that have come within their mind, to employ themselves, at least to employ themselves. So I'm praying that logistics code can continue to increase, because we do have employees and we still are working to grow and expand. But the only thing is, it isn't too publicized to the media in a way to flaunt or show off. And I'm taking it really old school with that. So we have a really large team. We have the freight ship truckers. We had 691 employees. And since our evaluation to become better, we are expanding that number currently. And another thing about government shutdown with the food stamps propaganda is that you have to also understand that you're receiving free money to get free food if you qualify under a specific category. There was once upon a time where I even did research to do something of the sort, but I realized at a very younger age, just doing a lot of research, that I didn't want any government help. I didn't want government assistance in a long-term reality. Short-term reality, give me the refund checks, give me those. I deserve that. It's a pandemic. But to prolong it for 10 to 15 years and not expect something greater so I can afford better foods and better something else's for somebody around me, like family or friends or whatever, it shouldn't be that way. Don't set your mind to just stay stagnant or complacent and just, receive, because it is better to give than to receive, something that I am also seeing into currently. So other than the government shutdowns, there are some scientific studies that I used to get into even before I had this dream of being in a hospital delivering babies. And I had 2 nurses in all white on the side of me. And in the dream, it was so vivid. It was like we were in the hospital. I heard the beepings. I saw the people. I saw the 2 women on my sides. And as I was delivering the babies, it was as if their iniquity was no more, that they were no longer born in a world of sin. They were no longer specifically classified as iniquitous or sinners while being birthed, because a child has never sinned coming out of the womb. So why would we classify this child as a sinner? That's a worldly aspect versus biblical aspect. And in the dream, after I had that vivid dream, I woke up immediately and applied to nursing school. And I was in nursing school for about 1.5 years, taking all of the courses, the ooey gooey stuff that will just get me a little bit more apprehended into what my works are to presume it. And I kid you not, once I had that dream, I applied that same day that I had the dream, and I got accepted into the college that I applied for that same week. And that's kind of what happened when I applied to medical school per se. I had an interview. I got accepted that same week into that college. So these are some of the scientific studies that I was doing even before I had that dream. And this title is The Cure to Lung Cancer, S.I.V Technologies. So this has this beautiful, nice sort of gamma x-ray, and it says lung cancer x-ray. This figure on the right is the x-ray of a man with small sinoatrial nodes that gradually found new placements which have caused lung cancer. Lung cancer derives from social activity. This can be consistent physical accommodations that you or a loved one has progressed in. Lung cancer is also a disease and is not treatable compared to a smaller infection of the sinus. Go to a medical physician immediately if you feel different in your body. This feeling is different and gradually increases in pain day by day. Do not wait now. And then, of course, as you go on in life, you realize that lung cancer, and isn't that something I was just talking to or listening to a medical doctor's profession support about the lungs in general, and he was talking about cancer with me as well. So these are studies that I did before going to school, period, about the medical aspect. And I've already had a 4-year degree before that and another degree in fashion design and architect. And I find that even though the fashion aspect, I was very successful at it, but even though it's not something that I prioritize over medicine, I would say that some of those stitching techniques is along the way of how I proceed in helping many women really look beautiful on their stomach if they decide to go with a C-section. But I will be encouraging all of my women patients to get a vaginal delivery, only because it's less risk and less scarring. Here's another scientific study, and this, you really can't see too much of it. Oh, here it is. This is about the horse, the anatomy of the horse. Good example of just stuff that I used to do. The human body, I'm going intense. And I believe that one was about sickle cell. Some of the nerve endings within the thoracic cavity and just differentiating the different dialects or positions of the eye as it pertained to the brain. Here's some of the lobes of the brain. It's about something of the study with water and oxygen, which I still am getting into because water has fluidity. I was really doing a lot of stuff. I was really big into emotions. This was actually a scientific research study that I did interviewing this gentleman at the library. And I really don't like to lean to my own understanding. When it comes to the blood flow of your heart, I know from off top there are at least 10 chamber processes, not chambers. There's only 4 chambers in your heart, but there's at least 10 different types of loop phases that the heart goes to. And we start on that right atrium, and then we end up all the way to our right ventricles and the veins, and it's a whole beautiful process of just how God can really ordain something and then it actually be stretched forth.